that. But even more importantly, if we go to the superconscious part of ourselves, which is the divine presence within us, that is also thinking its way into expression. And we know that the superconscious is God. And when we think something that is of God into existence, then it is a good thing. If it is a God thing, it is a good thing. And so if we move deeper into our experience, if we call forth the presence of God into our life, then we are bypassing, in a sense, and bringing something good into our experience. And that's one of the things that our conscious self can do. We can move beyond that body of thought that is our subconscious and pull the superconscious into our experience and create our life out of that dynamic. And we can follow, and that's the star that we follow. That's what guides us. That's the spiritual guidance we get. It is the light that guides our way when we are willing to stop, allow our thoughts to rest themselves, and then allow Spirit to move into our life experience. So the wise men come out of the superconscious. And the conscious can't control the superconscious. It's like a pilot. It's like you're flying a plane and you're a pilot. And the air traffic controller, you call the air traffic controller for instructions, right? And so you get instructions to land. Well, now, you're the pilot. You call the air traffic controller, which is your superconscious. And the air traffic controller gives you instructions. Now, you have a choice either to follow those instructions or not to follow them. Now, what happens if you don't follow them? There are consequences that show up. Probably going to lose your pilot's license. Probably not going to be able to fly again. Lots of stuff is going to happen. Well, I think the same thing happens in our lives. If we go to the superconscious, we get the instructions, we're guided to do something, and we don't do it. What happens? There are consequences. What happens is we let the rest of that body of thought take over. And we have experiences that we're generally not particularly happy about. So I have found that when I force something into being, although it may feel good in a given moment, it is not a joyous experience. Because usually what happens is that somebody in the peripheral area of my experience isn't happy about it. It gets hurt, or maybe there's something that occurs in their life. But if I relax and say, you know, there's something here that I feel like is trying to happen. And I would like to see, my human self sees this possibility. But I know that that possibility may not be the highest and best for me. There may be something even better that my spiritual self can bring into being. So my job is to set the intent and then get out of the way and let Spirit, with patience and wisdom and God consciousness, let Spirit do the work of bringing it into my life experience. You know, one of our congregants, Kara, Flatley Hallway, came up to me about a year ago, and she was going through a divorce and was pretty, kind of frustrated and so on and so forth. And she said she needed to find a job. And she was not sure what she wanted to do, and she was kind of naming some things, and you could tell that, she wasn't real focused and stuff. And so, I stopped for a minute and I said, have you ever thought about working with seniors? And with, elders? And she says, well, no. I can't imagine that. And I said, well, maybe you ought to think about that, And so I gave her a magazine that has a bunch of listings of assisted living communities and retirement communities and all kinds of stuff and numbers and things. And I said, here, why don't you look through that, and read this and see what's going on, and so on and so forth. And so she went home. There. I think I got it. The plug, I think I pulled the plug out when I did one of these things. Get a little too active, Anyway, she went home, and so she sat down with it, and she looked at it, and she got centered with it, and she happened to drive by a senior community right near her house. And so she looked it up, and she called them, and they happened to have a job opening for a marketing person. So she went down and interviewed for the job, and she didn't get that job, but they offered her another job. They liked her so much, so they asked her if she would be the activities director for the community. And so she came in the next week, and she was trying to decide whether she wanted to take the job or not. And so she left it up to Spirit, and she put some question out there, and the way in which it showed up told her that she should take the job. Even though the job didn't pay as much as she really needed, and it was something that she had never done before, Spirit directed her to take the job, and so she did. And so she's been working in that job, and we've talked occasionally, and sometimes she can't come to church very often because oftentimes she has to be there on Sundays, and so that's a little bit frustrating. But she's been doing the job, and over the years, she's gotten happier and happier and happier. You could just feel it. When she walks in, she smiles. And just recently, she called me up, and she was offered a job as a marketing person for the company that I work part-time for in the senior reality, and I had nothing to do with it. I just saw it, and well, how did that happen? And so Spirit works in pretty amazing ways, and here she is doing exactly what it is that she should be doing, simply by taking a moment and listening and following Spirit's guidance, even though it doesn't fully answer every question in every moment as she was moving along. She manifested that which she needed in her life. I should say Spirit brought into her life that which she needed, and which has given her something powerful in her life experience. There's a movie that came out called Invictus. I don't know if any of you have seen it or not. How many have seen it? Okay. Well, I want to play a trailer of the movie.
I thank whatever gods may be for my uncomfortable soul. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Today, President Mandela takes office in Pretoria, balancing black aspirations with white fears.
Remember this day, boys. This is a day our country went to the dogs.
Brothers, sisters, this is the time to build our nation. All of the whites are cheering for South Africa. All of the blacks are cheering for England. How long before the World Cup?
Don't get your hopes up. We're a damn disgrace.
I've been invited to tea.
With who?
President.
Tell me, Francois, how do we inspire ourselves to greatness when nothing less will do? How do we inspire everyone around us?
What did you want?
I think he wants us to win the World Cup.
This rugby is a political calculation.
It is a human calculation.
According to the experts, we'll reach the quarterfinals and no further.
According to the experts, you and I should still be in jail.
Times change. We need to change as well. We become more than just a rugby team.
Did you ever imagine this?
How could I?
Do you hear? Listen to your country. This is it. This is our destiny.
I was thinking about how you spent 30 years in a tiny cell and come out ready to forgive the people who put you there.
I am the master of my fate.